Shit, man. Hey, what's up, guys? Sorry about that. I'll give you guys a few minutes to jump back on. What happened was the power went out here for a minute, and when that happens, I lose my router for about 15 seconds, which means I had to jump back on, restart the live stream, and come at you guys this way. So apologize. I'll give you a few minutes to get back on. Let me see how we're doing. Let me get the camera over. There we go, guys. Really sorry about that. A lot of stuff goes down here that gets old. So um, I'll get rolling back with the video. I'll pick up where I left off. The Hot Boys played really well. I was on Eli Manning. Eli Manning actually played a very good game. I'm not on the Eli Manning bandwagon or anything. I apologize, guys. The electric went out. I will reiterate that here in a few minutes so the guys coming back on live can know what happened. Anytime that happens, if you guys lose feed from me, just give it a couple minutes, refresh your screen, log back in. You'll have to go back and jump on because I'll have to make a new one and start a new live stream. So I apologize. But anyways, Eli played very well, which is a good thing for us. We still won the game. We won it decisively. Uh, we shut Shaquan Barkley down. He had he had where are we at? I had his stats here somewhere. Yeah, he had I had his rushing yards down. Oh, he had 11 rushes for 28 yards, I believe is what it was. His stats his yeah, 11 rushes for 28 yards, two and a half yards per carry. He did have 14 catches. That's another awesome statistic I really like. And the reason I like that he had 14 catches, and on those 14 catches, he only had 80 yards. That's not, that's only 6 yards per catch, or 5.7 actually. The reason he had 14 catches is because our secondary was playing so well, Eli Manning had to go to his check down. So out of those 33 catches, half of them were checkdowns to uh, to Shaquan Barkley in particular. Half of 33, 14 is almost half of 33, but in that area, almost half of his passes were checkdowns. And if you probably throw the other checkdowns into a couple receivers or whatever, then you're looking at half of his passes as checkdowns. So that's really awesome. That means our secondary and our safeties were holding up well. They were covering good. OBJ had basically, very little yards. He had 9 targets. Um, what statistic is that? That Joe Lucas said there's a stat you heard a few times. Maybe everyone's putting that out, but man, I really like the fact that Eli had a good game and we still won. That means if Eli has a good game, the next game, uh, yeah, uh, Cheeto and Byron, man, dude, they're gonna be they're gonna be breakout players this year. They're gonna get a lot of attention on ESPN and the big time channels and all of those things. That's coming down the road. We're aware of it now, but when we shut OBJ down, when we start shutting these guys down like Julio Jones, uh, I could not wait for the matchup. That was the matchup I wanted to see. Sunday night was I wanted to see what our corners did against OBJ, and I was like, I think we're going to shut him down. And I was maybe thinking with my heart, but we did. We really shut him down. They scared to throw to yeah. They're scared to put the ball up on him. Going into the Seattle game, guys, Seattle's offensive line looks like garbage. They gave up 5 sacks in the first half, which means these hot boys is going to be hot. The hot boys are going to be hot again in the Seattle game. The fact that they gave up 5 sacks in the first half is usually a little backwards. Usually when you're down by 14 points like Seattle was, if you're down 2 scores, you're predictable. You have to you have to throw the ball. Your offense gets predictable. Yeah, 6 sacks in the whole game. But the thing is, what's an odd stat is 5 were in the first half and only 1 in the second half. and they were behind. So usually it's kind of a reverse like that. You'll have one or two sacks in the first half, and you have the majority of your sacks when you're behind in the second half because they know you're throwing the ball. You get predictable. They open the floodgates and they just send the rushers. They send the blitz because they know you got to throw the ball. So this really works in our advantage. I think we'll have anywhere from 6 to 8 sacks. I think this will be Demarcus Lawrence's first 2 sack game. More than 1 sack, a sack and a half, 2 sacks, and it's only going to get better, guys. Randy Gregory will be back this week, so that's going to improve our position on the defensive line, and we should be really really looking good, guys. So I'm going to switch back to offensive mode now that the defensive thing is over, and I want to talk business about Earl Thomas again. The reason I want to discuss this is it's an odd situation. Do we need him? The thing is, yeah, the thing is, if Seattle comes in, I know we won't get him this week. If Seattle comes in, if we can beat Seattle, Seattle will be 0-3. If their coaches conclude that, hey, maybe our season is over, let's go ahead and get something for Earl Thomas. Now we have till October 30th. We have almost a month to do this Earl Thomas thing. So I'm not expecting it to be right after the Seattle game because there's no reason for them to help us this early. If they conclude their season is over, they're going to play it out a little longer than 0-3. But if they can be like 1-4, in week 5 of the season, um, there's a chance they say, hey, you know what? Let's get what we can for Earl Thomas. We can get more than a third round pick for him, and we'll get it this year. So at this point, they're going to get a third round pick if Earl Thomas moves. A compensatory third round pick in 2020, not 2019. They don't get that pick for a whole nother year. If Earl Thomas leaves at the end of his contract, it's 2018 going into 2019. Actually, it'll be the 2019 draft coming. They don't get that pick this year. They'll get that pick next year. So that's where that stands. Et was shining last night. Yeah, Et looked good. They didn't have a lot of offense. They need some weapons on offense. They have no weapons on offense. uh, I would like to see Dalton Schultz, maybe Blake Jarwin, and a trade. We're still tight end heavy, and quarterback heavy. I know that they've got their backup quarterback situation locked up now. Earlier in the season, I thought maybe a Mike White trade might work. Let me check the stats. They have 12% chance to make the playoffs right now. Yeah, I think next week, we're gonna have a tough game, guys, because Seattle's played 2 away games that weren't nail biters, but they played pretty tough games. They're going to go into Seattle. This is their home opener game. They're going to be really pumped to get a victory. And these are the type games. Even if Seattle is just going to be completely horrible this year, this is going to be one of the games that whoever plays them, it's going to be tough. It happens to be the Cowboys going into Seattle. Seattle's first home game. They're 0-2. Uh, you know, so that's the situation. It's going to be, hey, Young Onyx in the house. How you doing, bro? Welcome to the channel. I've only got about 9 watching. The electricity cut out earlier, so we lost the feed. I've always thought that Seattle did not want Earl on their team. Yeah, for the home opener, they were waiting till after they played if they want. Yeah, and the thing is now they've already traded. If they go 0-3, they might. It just depends on how the coaching staff for Seattle looks at it. If they think, hey, let's get Earl Thomas out of here now, and let's get some, you're not going to get anyone that's going to help your team right now, unless they think they've got a backup for Earl Thomas that can play relatively the same, and they think that from the Cowboys they could get an offensive lineman, or they could get a receiver that's going to help them. And I don't think we have anybody that can step up and help them right now. If you guys can, is there anyone on our team that you guys think could help Seattle? If you watch Seattle, I've been watching them a little bit. They need offensive linemen, they need receivers, they need a tight end. Uh, so those are the positions really we don't have any standout players as well. Uh, if they could use a defensive tackle, we probably were pretty deep there. We had 6 sacks last night, and we didn't have one of our best, but one of linebacker. Yeah, they they played pretty well at linebacker last night. They got I know they're thin there because they just got Michael Hendricks, and he's looking at jail time. He's not looking at fines or anything. Dude's probably going to end up in jail, and it could be for a while. So they are thin at linebacker. You're correct, Joseph. Um, if we got a linebacker that they may be interested in, I think our linebackers are playing great though, man. It's so comfortable. It's so comfortable and relaxing to see our linebackers and not have to worry. Like, Damian Wilson played good. Joe Thomas has been playing lights out. Sean Lee and Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith's like leading the team in tackles, I think, right now. He did last night against the Giants. Actually, him and Leighton Vander Esch. Leighton Vander Esch wasn't in very long, and he had 7 tackles. So that was really blew me away when I saw that stat. I didn't remember seeing him make that many tackles. So the Cowboys are looking good, guys. The linebacker core right now, they really worked that over properly. We're sitting very good at linebacker. Uh, let's Lee as a liability. Yeah, Lee is an asset as well, though. Lee's only a liability when he's injured, because we have to pull somebody in and we have to carry. Basically, we have to carry a very good linebacker as a backup. You know, a lot of teams, you can have your starters and then your backups. Yeah, because our linebackers are always here, they're always ready, they always start. But you have to have a good linebacker in your pocket when you've got Sean Lee because he could go down. But is he worth having around? Yeah, hell yeah. And if you can find a solid backup like Joe Thomas to come in and pick up those snaps, or if you can move guys around, Jalen Smith and Damian Wilson's been playing really well. He had the strip sack last night, so um, not last night, night before. So I'm really proud, really happy with the way they've moved our linebackers around and increased that. How often is that, Crunk? LOL. I try to. What's that? How often is what? You mentioned something. Let me see what. I think we signed Butler because they want to use one of our rookies as trade tool, maybe Gallup. Uh, oh, how often is Lee injured? He last year he missed 5 games. Actually, he missed five and a half, and out of those 5 games, we only won one. So Lee not being on the field is devastating to our defense last year. Now I think this year we're in a little bit better situation to cover for him. When Lee's injured or if he has injuries, our linebacking core, Jalen Smith is much better. Leighton Vander Esch, I think, is able to come in, and it looks like he's gonna able to come in and play well. He hasn't had those opportunities, and I think it's because uh, yeah, we're a lot better at linebacker, man. Jalen Smith is playing 10 times better. I don't know if we signed this morning when I checked Luca Brazzi. When I like to give you guys nicknames if you don't mind. It helps me remember everybody. Joe Lucas is Luca Brazzi from The Godfather. And if you guys don't know who that is, Luca Brazzi was the Punisher, the enforcer. When The Godfather needed something, he would tell Michael, give this one to Luca Brazzi. Oh shit! I get chills saying it. That's you don't want Luca Brazzi to come visit you. You don't. But anyways, guys, yeah. Um, Let me go up here to yeah, our linebacking core. And one thing we got LVE, which should help us out, and Jalen Smith is a different player than he was last year. Completely different player than he was the year before. So we're really moving along in some of these positions, and the fact that the fact that Jalen Smith is 100% now man, the guy just flies around. And the thing is, we're sending these blitz packages now, guys, that we weren't sending before, and we can do that because our secondary solid. You know, our safeties are so important on the blitz. If you send your linebackers to blitz, and your quarterback turns and hits a slant, your safety has to make that tackle. Has to. I'm going to take you straight scenario. Quarterback lines up. Eli Manning, he looks up. He sees the blitz is coming. Check, check. He changes the play. The receiver sees the blitz is lining up. The receiver knows he's supposed to take the snap. Once Eli takes the snap, he's supposed to watch. If that blitz does go in, the first thing he does is run that slant and look for the ball. If he runs that slant, looks for the ball, Eli Manning turns. It's a hard situation to put the corner in. He's got to cover that. If they pick the blitz up and the cornerback jumps that slant, but Eli doesn't throw it, and he beats that corner, now you've got one-on-one with the safety. If that safety takes a bad angle, or if Eli throws it and the safety catches it, uh, or the blitz gets picked up and Eli's able to hold the ball longer and throw it deep, man, you just can have a lot of trouble. Your safeties have to play the blitz well. You can't blitz when your safeties suck, because all you got to do is throw that slant. The receiver's going to cut right down the middle of the field. The safety's going to miss a tackle or make a bad angle. If he takes a bad angle, the safety does, that receiver's gone for 25, 30 yards, and your blitz just blew, your whole field advantage you had. So that's why safeties are important with blitzing. That's why we weren't able to blitz before. That's why our defense didn't get turnovers. That's why our defense didn't get a lot of sacks. We didn't change things up. We came with a real consistent rush the quarterback, rush the quarterback. Now Chris Richard is back there. He's coached our secondary up. Our guys are much better in the secondary. We can gamble more. We can send more guys. We can blitz more. So that's where it's a whole different game having good safeties. And that's why I was so sold on getting Earl Thomas here. Our safeties now are good. I said that earlier in the year. I've always said that, dude, Frazier and Woods and Heath are good safeties. With the coaching they got now, I think they're very good safeties. Um, but we still could use the depth with Earl Thomas. I mean, if you take Earl Thomas and put him at the top of make him our alpha safety, and you put him number one, you bump those other guys down a spot. Man, Kayvon Frazier, he's actually one of my favorite players. You got Kayvon Frazier as your fourth safety, or Woods, those not Woods. I'm sorry, Heath or Frazier as your fourth safety. Man, come on, man. And if you do that, now you can play Kayvon Frazier and Heath on special teams more. So that's what one person can change, especially if you put a player like Khalil Mack. You put him at the top of your linebacker crew. You bump your linebackers down all one position. You just made your staff, as far as linebacker goes, much better. We would do the same thing at safety. If Earl Thomas was able to come in, you put him at our number one safety, and you make Jeff Heath or Frazier, our third or fourth. Man, that's awesome. That's a really good group of safeties, and it really changes the whole dynamics of our safety core. Um, I felt LVE was drafted because of how devastating Lee's absence. Yeah, that's exactly right, Cade. That's 100% what they were doing. They went after LVE. There was other players on the board that were rated higher. They wanted LVE. They saw something, they liked it. One thing, they like Boise State players. They really like Boise State. D. Lawrence is from Boise State. Leighton Vander Esch is from Boise State. Also, they're trying to get into these players that have a really, really good personal attitude and a really good, like, Superman type persona. They don't get in trouble. They walk the line. They dream and live, eat, and drink football. They're not, hey, I play football, but I also make a shitload of money and I go party and stuff. But I play football. I love football. I concentrate on it. Well, you know what? If you love it so much, we don't want those other things. And they're trying to, I think, bring in these really square type, solid Football is my life. I don't give a damn. Kind of like J.J. Watt type guys. You know what I mean? They're looking for guys, and J.J. Watt's changed the perception of a lot of these guys. It used to be, oh, he's a great football player, and but he ain't cool, and he ain't. No, J.J. Watt is cool. J.J. Watt does his thing. I'm from Houston, man. That town loves J.J. Watt. People would give their kid up to see J.J. Watt play on Sunday. They're like, J.J. Watt's injured. Hey, you want my kid, my firstborn son? I'll sign him to you if you just make JJ make him play this week, please. I know he's hurt a little bit, but if he can play, I'll give you my son. That's how they love JJ Watt, and teams are starting to look for players like that. They're not looking for these guys. Nothing against Deion Sanders. I'm just saying, he was prime time and flashy, and that he's actually one of my favorite players all time, dude. I love watching prime time. But some of the play teams aren't trusting guys like that, the flashy guys, you know what I mean? J.J. Watt, yeah, dude, he's not injury prone. He he's crazy. He's insane, and he just don't give a damn about his body. And if there's a play that needs to be made, he throws his body in front of it. There literally could be a damn tank rolling down the middle of the field, and if J.J. Watt had the tank one on one, J.J. Watt's gonna jump in front of the tank and try to roll the tank over on its back. He's crazy, dude. And I hope he stays healthy. He is injury prone, yes. Not to clown around on J.J. Watt. He just is a bad dude. I'm a Cowboy fan. Earlier I said Eli Manning had a good game. That don't mean I'm an Eli Manning fan. I respect football players for what they do. J.J. Watt is a beast, man. He really is. He's the Luca Brasi of football. You want somebody punished, you send Luca. And I only mention that because Joe Lucas is in here. And okay, wonder if they pick him up, who they'll release. Could be a tight end. Yeah, Dalton Schultz hasn't played much, but he's a draft pick that they've got to work with. Blake Jarwin, they brought him in. He's high on some people's boards still. I don't think he's played too well. You guys saw he's the one that caused or created the turnover on the. Actually, it was a very simple play. He should have on the onside kick. Blake Jarwin should have got that ball. They put him there apparently because of his hands, and he didn't make the play. So I wasn't happy with that. Didn't like it at all. Um, and as soon as I saw, I was like, why do they got Blake Jarwin up front? I was like, oh, they like this guy. He must have really good hands. I don't know a lot about him because he hadn't played a lot. But as you guys saw, the next onside kick, they had Sean Lee up front, which is a defensive player. But you guys know that guy. He's just he's always around the ball. He has a keen nose and eye for the ball, and he's going to get on the ball. If there's a loose ball on the ground, you guys know he's. I trust Sean Lee to go get it just as much as I would anybody else. They used to put Jason Witten up there in those situations when he was a younger guy. Jarwin had a good bit of holding penalties. Yeah, and that stuff kills us, man. Those holding penalties, we're not the type team to recover from that. We're a team. We get 5-6 yards per carry. 6-8 yards per reception. We averaged 10 this week, which is good. If we can continue to do that, that's fine. But we can't get holding penalties because a first and 20 or a second and 22 or a second and 18. Those are really difficult, amount of yards for us to overcome in two plays. That's not our offense. It doesn't work that way. We don't have a big playmaker, and if we do, Tavon Austin is probably the closest, or Ezekiel Elliott. So they're not big guys that can break tackles. The Cowboys need Rico Gathers to develop into his potential as a future franchise tight end. Yeah, there's so many people pulling for that, Cade. That's I've been pulling for that since they signed him. Um, and being a basketball player myself, I really want the guy to succeed. And the thing is, every time they put him in, I just wish last night that ball thrown to him in the end zone would have been a little bit closer. Where he could have made a. Yeah, they do need to cut a tight end. They want robot player without options. Yeah, that's. I will say that they want some puppets, kind of. But J.J. Watt's not a puppet. You can be commanded. Dak Prescott is a player like that. That's why, for one reason, I think they really love Dak Prescott is he's a Superman type player. I don't see him getting in crazy trouble doing anything ridiculous. Hopefully, he is a young cat, but he's got his eye set on the NFL. You guys know he hasn't once mentioned a contract or his pay or what he's worried about. I'm thinking he's also a type player we can get a little cheaper than a normal quarterback. And if he plays like he did last night, he's going to command money. And I hope he doesn't command money. I'm saying his performance commands money. And I don't. I hope Dak is one of those players where he's going to come forward and say, "Look, uh, make me an offer I can't refuse. That's all I want to say. Give me something respectful and pay my linemen. Keep my linemen here and pay the defensive linemen so we can keep this team together." Um, how long do you wait for that, bro? Dak need to earn. Yeah, Dak has to earn his. Dak really needs to earn his contract. So we'll see. The Cowboys need, and I agree on the development of Rico Gathers. That they need to play him more. They need to put him in a position on the field. If they need to line him up outside, line him up in the slot, line him up as a receiver. If if they don't trust him at tight end because it's a very complicated, much more complicated position than wide receiver as far as knowledge and having to have technically sound blocking and technically sound defense. You have to read the defense a lot as a tight end. As a receiver, you have to read the defense a little. You have to watch for a blitz. If you see a blitz, you run a different route. If you don't see a blitz, you run what you're supposed to run, and that's pretty much how it is. They really shows. Hey, what's up, Hunter White? Thank you, brother. I try to know my shit. I try to study. I got a lot of time to do it. But the thing with the tight end is, and the thing they're saying with Rico, I've told you guys before, uh, it's not, they say he can't block. And I've heard other guys say, oh, yeah, he has trouble blocking. It's not the fact that he's one on one in practice blocking with guys and he doesn't do well. The problem is, if you line up at tight end and a play is called, you come out of the huddle, you line up where you're supposed to line up. Now you have to read the defensive end or sometimes the linebacker in front of you or sometimes a safety comes in. When those things happen, you have to change. You have options in the play that was called. Let's say the name of the play was Zebra 151. I'm just making that up. Zebra 151, Rico Gathers lines up in the tight end position where he's supposed to be. Defensive end lines up in front of him, normal play. He runs A. There's a call for that. I have to do A. I have to do a 5 and out. Okay, now he lines up, same play, Zebra 151, lines up, defensive end lines up in front of him. Now the safety steps over in front of him also, and there's a blitz package. He has to recall, is the running back behind me on my side that's going to pick up this safety if I run my 5 and out? Or do I need to stay in and block because the running back's on the opposite side or it's a single back formation? He's in position. He can't look back to see if there's a running back there. He has to recall that. That's what they're talking about that Rico Gathers can't block. It's the fact he has to remember all of this shit, man. It's a lot. Now, the safety comes up. He has to say, okay, there's no running back there. I have to stay in here and block. Or it might be a situation where the play's running to his side. He has to chip the linebacker and run like a 2 and out and look for the ball immediately because Dak is going to expect him to chip that linebacker and turn and catch the ball and try to get at least 4 or 5 yards. So those are the things that Rico Gathers has to deal with. Not the fact there's a guy in front of him, he has to block the guy and he's incapable of blocking. He's not great at that either, but he has to learn the concept of tight end and is really, really difficult. And there's even plays where he's supposed to run in 5 and out, and the way the defense is, if the corners and the safeties are up on the slot receivers, it might be a situation where he's supposed to break off from his route and run right up the middle of the field to pull the safeties so that so that that bubble play, maybe they're running a bubble play on his side of the field so that that bubble play works. So it's really crazy in tight end positions, and sometimes your slot receivers have to run different things. If you guys watch the games and you watch the coach's view, you'll see there was a play last week. Cole Beasley lined up and he looks at Dak and he looks at the defense, and Cole Beasley caught this. This was in the Carolina game. Dak Prescott didn't catch it. Cole Beasley caught it and he said, "This play is not going to work because of the way the defense was." Cole Beasley switched with Deontay Thompson. They switched places. Cole Beasley went wide, Deontay Thompson, because Cole Beasley knew the play they had to run wasn't going to work. Now, see, for receivers, it's a lot simpler. The play still didn't work, but at least Cole Beasley caught that. Dak should have audibled out of the play, but he didn't. He ran the play, and it was a bust play. There was nobody open. Dak had to throw the ball away, but luckily there wasn't a sack or anything. We have a basic playbook. The difficulty of the tight end schemes in the NFL gathers wouldn't make it anywhere else. Uh, yeah, that's possible, man. Our playbook is relatively simple compared to most. So that's why I say, to get Rico Gathers out there and see what he has a little bit. At this point, use him in the red zone. Use him when we have a 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, stuff like that. But line him out wide, or put him as this. As we always do, we do a lot of two tight end sets. Put him as the outside tight end, which is relatively always used as a running or passing position or a receiver. So put him up as the outside tight end, and he shouldn't have blocking responsibilities too much. But he has to learn the playbook and the blocking schemes in that playbook, not necessarily just blocking. Everybody cuts that statement off and says, "Oh, Rico Gathers needs to learn how to block," but he needs to learn blocking schemes. Rico's a big dude. He can block relatively good, but he has to learn when to block, when to chip and run a route, when to change his personal play up, what he does on each play according to the defense. So that's where Rico Gathers is short. Um, but anyways, guys, we had a really really good game this week. As I said earlier, Eli Manning played well, which is good that we beat the Giants when Eli Manning played well. Also, Shaquan Barkley, we shut him down. 11 carries, 28 yards. The Hot Boys did their job. The linebackers were on it. We did miss some tackles, but relatively we tackled outstanding. We didn't give up any big plays except the touchdown, and there was another play. Chidobe Awuzie, I'm not going to say he got beat. It was just an outstanding throw by Eli Manning. Chidobe Awuzie was right there, if you guys remember, on the right-hand hash. I think it was about a 35, 38-yard pass from Eli. Chidobe Awuzie had perfect coverage. He was with him step for step. His shoulders, their shoulders were like right together. He even turned, took 2 steps, jumped up and reached for the ball, and it barely touches his fingers and falls right in the receiver's arms. You cannot get better coverage than that. It just was a perfect throw and a good catch. So that was the only time we really got beat deep, except for the touchdown play, and Heath got caught looking in the backfield, and Jalen Smith released the receiver to him, the tight end Ingram. Ingram runs up the middle of the field. Jalen Smith stopped to cover something short, and what's up, Cowboy Crunk? Catfish in the house. And Ingram ran right past Jalen Smith, and Jeff Heath didn't pick him up. He had his eyes in the backfield. You could see him looking at Eli Manning, and they scored the touchdown. So that's where we stand, guys. Hey, this week should be much better. We got a tough game coming up. Seattle's 0-2, but this is their first home game. They're going to be pissed off, and they're going to really want to beat the Cowboys, as that rivalry is really hot right now with the Earl Thomas trade not happening. And if we can get Earl Thomas and the Seattle Seahawks to go 0-3, maybe their season's over and they decide to trade him. We'll just have to see what they want. But anyways, thanks, guys. Hey, subscribe and like to the channel. Enjoy the video. Thank you for joining. And I'll get back with you tonight on another live stream in probably about 5 to 6 hours. We'll go over the stats from from the upcoming Seattle game and what we expect. Thanks, guys.